From Beyond Marketing, it's the 20-Minute Call, a podcast about the dreamers, boundary pushers, rebels, and champions of the skydiving industry. Each episode is a narrative journey highlighted by the highs, lows, and luck that the skydiving industry delivers, as told by the most influential people within the sport. If you've ever dreamed of becoming a skydiver, perhaps opening a drop zone, or becoming the next world champion, check out the 20-Minute Call hosted by me, James LeBarry.
Hey everyone. Before we get started with the show today, just wanted to give you a heads up. We had some Wi-Fi issues during this interview, and rather than delete all those segments, which can be annoying, I've chosen to leave them in because the storytelling from Miles was just so fascinating. So we hope that you'll bear with us. Apologize for some of the quality issues that were a little bit beyond our control during this recording. Otherwise, enjoy the show. In a world where convention often dictates our choices, there are rare souls who not only dare to dream, but also to chase those dreams with unparalleled fervor. Enter Miles Daisher, a man whose vision of the world started broadening right from his childhood, thanks to the adventurous life of a son to a U.S. Air Force serviceman. While many find comfort in the predictable 9-to-5 routine, Miles danced to a different beat. He didn't just aspire to jump off of things and soar through the skies. He turned it into an art, a career, and an inspiration. With over 10,000 skydives, 7,000 base jumps, and record-breaking feats that have left audiences worldwide in awe, Miles is not just any skydiver. He's the man who in 2017 pushed his own boundaries by completing an astonishing 63 base jumps in just 24 hours. He's the innovator behind skyacking and rope swing base jumps, and a proud member of the elite Red Bull Air Force. When he's not defying gravity, he's grounded in beautiful Twin Falls, Idaho, nurturing the dreams of aspiring base jumpers. And beyond the adrenaline rushes at his core, Miles is a dedicated father of 3 and a loving husband to an undoubtedly extraordinary wife. So without further ado, let's welcome a true maverick, a testament to the limitless possibilities of human potential, Mr. Miles Daisher. Welcome to the show, Miles.
Woo! Thank you, James. Kind words, my friend.
Miles? Yeah, man. That is so nice to have you on this podcast. Thank you. For those not listening, Miles has been scrambling for the last couple of hours, getting packed up, ready for
Montreal.
Montreal.
Yes.
How much time are you actually on the road? Are you on the road constant?
Most weekends. In the summertime, it's almost every weekend. It kind of slows down a little bit. Actually, it hasn't been slowing down this last few years. We've been going all through the winter as well. But it's usually mostly on the weekends. I mean, this next trip, I'm going to the Canadian. It's a boogie in Canada, and we're going to rock and roll. I'm organizing wingsuits and free flying and tracking, and then I'm going to be there for 3-4 days, and then go to straight there from Lauterbrunnen in Switzerland for 10 days. So it's a little bit of a longer trip. Most don't go past 3 weeks, but usually I'm gone for 3 to 5 days at a time, and every once in a while for a 3-week, boom, go for it. But it's a lot of time away from home. Thank goodness to have FaceTime, or you can hang out with your children every once in a while, even if you're around the other side of the world.
How old are your kids?
Dorothy's 19. She just went to college. She starts today. And Audrey is 16, and my son Eli is 14. So,
what was that like, seeing your baby go off to college?
It was good because she's ready for it. She's fired up. She made the Boise State cheerleading team as a flyer and got to go out, a couple weeks early to go train and get ready for the football games. And so she's all moved into her dorm and settled in, knows how to go where to eat and where to hang out with her friends and library, and done the tour of campus. And now school starts. So she had 2 weeks to prepare for it. So it's kind of the perfect storm for her. And I'm just excited. My wife's all, okay, you're out of here, going to school. I'm all, you're always welcome back. And it's exciting. I remember when I was going to college, and it's just awesome time. And I know she is just starting to live her best life right now, and I'm just proud of her and stoked.
Do your other kids, do they have any interest in what you do with jumping or anything like that?
Yeah. A long time ago, when Dorothy and Audrey were just babies before Eli was born, they all said they wanted a pink princess parachute. And then and a friend of mine, Shane McConkey, passed away while base jumping. And then after that, they asked me to be more careful and that they don't want a pink princess parachute. But Eli, I'm going to be a base jumper like my dad. And I kind of would prefer him to be more of a pilot, fly the plane and this kind of thing. But whatever he wants to do, I'll fully support him. I'm not pushing base jumping at him by any means. My wife would kill me if I said, let's go and put this on, arms in here, legs in here. Woo, send it. You're only 14 years old. But yeah, she would lose her mind. But if they do wish to pursue skydiving, I'm going to help them. I'm not going to be the instigator, but I will definitely get behind it. And whatever they want to do in life, I'm going to get behind it.
Do they watch your videos like the rest of us on social, or is it just like, God, Dad is doing his thing?
No, yeah, they watch them. They hit the like button and all that good stuff. And yeah, and Dad, that one was pretty wild, but usually it's like they're more into the dance videos, like the TikTok things, hey, Dad, want to do a TikTok with me? Let's dance. Okay. So it's more like that. But they know what I do, and they're proud of who I am. And yeah, they've got my back for sure. But and Dorothy, she wanted to do a tandem skydive on her 18th birthday. And then she said, how much was that? Can I get clothes instead? So, yeah, it was short-lived. I was all, yeah, she's going to go for it. And she's been in an airplane and watched me jump out. She's on the ride-along, sat in the back with a parachute on and watched me jump out. And that was so cool. I want to do that, Dad. And that just changed when she bought new clothes, I guess. I don't know. Kids these days, what are you going to do, right?
I'd imagine you would be able to get a hookup where there wouldn't be a cost. What am I missing here? You got a few teammates that do tandems.
Right. I'm about to renew my tandem certification as well here pretty quick.
Are you?
Yep. Just getting the medical, got that all signed up to go do and get my tandem back on again. I got some irons in the fire, got some cool things we want to do. And I do tandem base jumps off the bridge, but I think having a tandem skydive, having that recerted again, will just keep me more tuned up for, like for the landings. I do well, but it wouldn't hurt to go out and do more of them out of a plane, even though the equipment's a little bit different. Icarus World has worked with me and put together a tandem canopy. It's a TX2 with a little bit more aspect ratio and some vents and some Dacron lines and a 0P leading edge. But they went ahead and made it a base specific tandem canopy, and super fun to fly. And yeah, I'm about to get back in the sky again and start taking people. It's just fun sharing the joy of skydiving with other people, and get to live vicariously, through the people that you take. And to me, I just want to promote this sport because I love it. But yeah, I just want to share the dream of skydiving with people, and this sport is amazing. It's helped shape a lot of who I've become. And when I first did my first jump, September 6, 1995, it was hook, line, and sinker. Just dude, that was awesome. What do I got to do to keep doing this? Start sweeping the floors, work in the office, like pack parachutes. What do we got to do? And that's kind of what I did is move to Skydive Lake Tahoe and at the drop zone there that Mike Vail, Charles Bryan, and John DeVore were heading running. I worked there for 3 years and got my tandem certification there. I was packing parachutes for the first couple of years and then started doing tandems. And then I was a rich man because I could buy gear and do whatever I wanted and jump on airplanes and fly anywhere. And it's amazing. Yeah. A whole lifestyle change through the sport of skydiving.
Miles, take me back for our audience that, we know Miles of everything that we see, but who is young Miles? What was the circumstance when Miles is younger? How long ago was it when you were first, what ignited your passion for skydiving and base?
when I was super young, I always wanted to be a stuntman, and I took judo, and I spent a lot of time at the swimming pool, and I learned how to like jump into water and kind of throw flips and twists, and through judo, I learned how to do falls off of high places, and I would jump out of my treehouse a lot and jump off the roof. And I thought, oh, I'm going to be the coolest stuntman. We're going to jump into airbags. It's going to be fun. Maybe get shot out of a cannon someday. And that was all like in 7th grade, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And then from there, I just kind of kept on doing dives off the diving board and became a lifeguard, and then became in charge of the diving board. I taught swim lessons and diving lessons, and then all through college. And then after, it wasn't until college I started bungee jumping, and I moved up to Lake Tahoe, Squaw Valley in 1993. And I lived in a house where everyone was on this bungee team, Primal Instinct Bungee. And we had a roommate lived in the back, Frank Gambalie. He lived in a sauna. We never saw him. He would just come out like every time we played poker. He was just like, "Who are you?" "I'm the dude that lives in the sauna." "Oh, okay." And Frank took me. He would show me skydiving videos and base jumping videos, and like, "You never saw this base jumping video because it was like, gray area of legal and that kind of thing." And it was really cool to see all those. But really what struck me was the skydiving videos. And I'm like, dude, where do you go skydiving? That's something I've always wanted to do. I saw a guy land a parachute when I was 8 years old on a soccer field that we were playing on. And it was like, whoa, that guy just came out of the sky and landed right here. And he's so cool. Oh my God, he's got baggy pants. It's wild. I want to do this, And it wasn't until I was 25 and I met Frank Gambalie, and he's like, "You got a credit card?" I'm like, "Yeah." "All right, well, let's go to Skydance skydiving at Yolo County Airport, Davis, California, and get a game on." And September 6th, 1995 was that magical day where you do an 8-hour ground school and jump right into AFF. And before you know it, I got 2 instructors holding on to me, Dan and COB, and they're holding on to me, and Dan's all, "Bend your knees," all serious, and COB's just like, "Bah!" with his tongue sticking out, flapping against his face. And I just mirrored that right back at him, and then back to Dan, and he's like, "Do the thing." He didn't point because that would have been different, I'd have pulled. But I was doing the practice record pulls, and I'd check in again, and arch, and then look left, and bah! And like, as soon as I jumped out of the airplane, I was thinking, this is the coolest feeling. How can I do this more and more and more? Because it's quite expensive, when you get into it, when you're a ski bum, living in Tahoe, barely making rent just to get a ski pass and spend all the time, ripping down the mountains. And then you go skydive, and you're like, wow, that was kind of expensive. And then you figure out how to get a job packing parachutes, to help fund the passion. And I ended up moving out to the drop zone at Skydive Lake Tahoe and living in a tent for like 2.5 years. I had to go ski in the winter, like November till April. But then I'm right back into my tent out of the drop zone. And Jeff Provenzano, Amy Shemalecki, they're doing the exact same thing I'm doing. They moved from New York to live in a tent at the drop zone to just get their skydive on. And they were brand new, and I was brand new. And we were just like losing our minds. And oh my gosh, yeah. Just kicking off into this sport that just it really wakes you up. I mean, not just like it wakes up your mind and your, squeeze your kidneys and give you that adrenaline shot. But for me, it kind of wakes up my soul. It's like, it kind of saved me a little bit because I was drinking quite a bit, right out of college and like into the ski area there. But by going skydiving, you wait until the end of the day until you're done jumping, and then have a few beers with your friends and talk about what went down that whole day. And then you save that money from drinking and you use that to buy more gear, and then you're on trips, and then just the level of fun accelerated. But skydiving basically saved my soul. It just elevated it to the next level, and I just get so fired up. And McConkey used to say, "Dude, you got so much energy, you're so fired up." I'm all, that's because I'm super stoked right now, and I can't even tell you how happy I am in life in general. skydiving out of airplanes and free falling towards the earth and flying our bodies in different ways and learning how to like swim in the air. And free flying was just starting to happen. The free fly revolution was going off, Alaska John, and Charles, those guys just learned from Olaf and Omar, and they're just, Alaska John's, he's like, what is it called? The re-evolution of skydiving. Let's go. And so we thought we were shaping the whole everything, and it was amazing times. And then getting into base jumping from there too, just elevated it. It kind of helped. It upped my skydive game, and my skydiving upped my base jump game. Those two sports, they're both parachute sports, and they're just one's a little bit lower and faster than the other, and the other one's you go higher up and you have more time to relax and chill in the air, and you can practice different tricks so that you can get your base jumping game to accelerate while your base jumping game is also helping promote your skydiving game. Does that make sense? Like my packing became really quick and clean after I started base jumping. A little bit messy before base jumping, and then you're packing. Every pack job is like a reserve pack job. So my skydiving pack job is just really tightened up, if you will.
A quick break here to address the drop zone owners listening to the pod. If you're a DZO, then you know the insanity of taking your passion and making it your business. Why'd you do that? Running a DZ is hard. Between the stressors of liability, 30-day payment terms on fuel after 4 weeks of miserable weather, and angry staff who are convinced they've been skipped in the rotation, you need a tool that helps reduce your stress. Enter Burble Software.
All right.
Conceived by a DZO who's been in the trenches just like you, Burble is the most sophisticated manifest and booking software on the planet. Your life as a DZO is hard enough, so don't be that DZO who tries to save a few bucks using software that wasn't built for us. Burble, the must-have drop zone management software for the 182DZ to the multi-turbine monster. Burble. Am I correct in saying you have more base jumps than anybody in history?
No, you're not. You were a couple of years ago, but there's a guy out here that lives in Twin Falls who doesn't have children, and he just spends more time at the bridge than I do lately, and he surpassed me by a ways now. And there's a guy, Sean Chuma, he's sitting on, he's almost 8,000. I just hit 7,000 base jumps, and I thought I was going to retire at 5,000, call it good. Thank my lucky stars and maybe go scuba dive with sharks or do something, chase lightning storms. I don't know. But what's next, right? But I don't think I'll ever give up this sport. I love it so much. And with the way wingsuit openings work, you can wingsuit base jump, I think, well into your 90s. It's pretty chill on the body.
For anyone else, I would say not possible. For you, completely doable. You got over 6,000 base jumps. But what was that first jump like? Were you scared to death? And where was this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was pretty fun. I was with Dave Potts, and I took Donna Reed, hooked me up with a parachute. And Frank said I was a little bit too sketchy. It was too soon for me to start base jumping. I'll probably go out and kill myself. And, want to have longevity in the sport. Don't go out right now. And I ended up, I'm ready. And I, hooked up with Donna Reed, got a parachute, and a Gravity Girls parachute. It was pink. We were jumping Auburn. And I'm with Diving Dave and Jay Waller. And we go down to the bottom of Auburn to the steel. And of course I want to go first. I was always like, get out of my way, skiing, bungee jumping. I was always like, hey, Miles, kick off something cool, do some flips. Okay. But for my base jump, first one, I'm going hand deploy. So I've got my pilot chute, folded up into my hand. And I think I'm going to jump out. I'm going to jump out, grab my ankles, do a flying squirrel, woo, throw my pilot chute, bang, open up, and I climb over the rail and I just start looking around, looking at the landing area, and all I can think of in my head is, you could die, you could die, you could die, you could die. It gets louder and louder, and all of a sudden I get really dizzy. And now I'm dizzy, and I'm over the railing, and I'm like, oh, well, I better climb back over. So I climb back over to the catwalk, And as soon as I finished the last step getting onto the catwalk, I relaxed and I went, I had quit breathing. So I was holding my breath the whole time over there, thinking to myself, you could die, you could die, you could die. And started getting really dizzy because I was holding my breath. So I climbed back over, catch my breath. My friends were like, hey man, are you okay? You want me to go first? No, I got this, out of the way, and I climb back over and I go, come on, Daisher, you got this. And inside I'm thinking, you got so many bungee jump exits, this is, you just stick a nice bungee exit. So in my mind, I'm thinking, come on, bungee. And a bungee exit and a base exit are a little bit different. Whereas the bungee exits, you get flat and then go head down, which is exactly what I did. And I got off doing a sick bungee exit with my pilot chute in my hand, dive over the bars. I'm going straight head down. And I'm like, at 1.5 seconds, pitch the pilot chute, thinking I'm going to take a 3-second delay. But now I'm going over the bars. I'm like, save yourself. Throw the baby pilot chute out, and go get the mama. And the bridle and the bridle and the parachute come off my back and hit my feet on the way up because I'm straight into a head down. And I'm just glad I could feel stuff coming off my back. I hear the Velcro go because it's Velcro closed containers back then, Hear the Velcro go, feel the parachute hit me in my feet. And I opened up and it hurt a little bit because I'm straight head down and wham, feet come way up and kick the lines. And then I'm swinging back into the harness. And I'm looking at my toggles, and I swear I heard carnival music right then. I know there was no music, but that's what I was hearing in my head, and it was that circus, that Afro circus, Afro, polka. I'm all clearing the brakes. Woohoo! Let's fly this thing. And did a practice flare and started heading into land. And landings weren't my strong suit back then. I was not the best canopy pilot at the beginning. I was like, let's flare early to see what happens. Here's a 30-foot stall and just drop out of the sky. And, hey, that was a sick PLF. Next time, flare a little lower. You don't have to do that, It was kind of like that I was experimental in skydiving. But when it came to this base jump, I nailed the flare perfect. Whoop, got the full stall. Ran it out, was like, yeah, oh my God, this is so sick. Let's get out of here. It's illegal. And that's what I didn't appreciate about base jumping is when I was learning how to jump, we didn't have permission to go anywhere. We were, in the middle of the night, which my vision was not good before I started wearing glasses. I was supposed to wear glasses, but I never wore them because they didn't look cool. But as I started skydiving, wearing glasses, I could see everything, and all of a sudden everything got easier, especially skiing, where you can see where you're going. That first jump was just absolutely amazing in June in 1997. It was 2 years after I started skydiving, and I had 86 jumps and went right off the bridge and showed Gambler, hey man, I just went and made a base jump. He goes, okay, now that you're ready to start training, I'll take you on. And he did, and he started teaching me how to pack. And I did ground crew for him for like a year and a half before I started base jumping too. So it was more like the mentorship program where, you are the associate or the squire of the guy who's got all the knowledge, who's going to give you the knowledge, but you've got to earn it by working for him for a while. So that's pretty much how it worked for me. And I just really enjoyed, ground crewing the guys and watching them pack. And then, okay, yeah, that's cool. But, Frank did it like this. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I got to clean that up. And so, it took me a while to start getting into the sport of base jumping. And then once I bought a rig, then it just kind of took off from there. And unfortunately, right when I started taking off in the sport is when Frank had a really bad day in Yosemite. He had jumped off of the west face of El Cap, and first person to do that. And when he landed, the Rangers had staked out the landing area and were waiting for him down below because it's illegal in Yosemite, aerial delivery. And he cut away his parachute and ran from them and tried to run across the Merced River because that was kind of a way to get away, I guess, because Rangers don't want to jump in the river and chase you across water. But 1999 was a really big snow year, and the Merced River was super swollen. It was it was after an 11-year drought, and normally you could just walk across the river. And this day, when Frank tried to run across it, it swept him down, and he went into a class 4 hole and they couldn't recover his body for weeks. He drowned in the river in Merced River in Yosemite, and that was my base jumping teacher. And I thought, well, this is pretty much over, And that's when Shane McConkey and I got together and started talking about, telling Frank stories at the memorial service and that kind of thing. And more and more stories. We were broing down, hanging out, and well, yeah, he was teaching me how to base jump. What? He was teaching me how to base jump too. And then, well, he taught me this. He taught me this. And oh, dude, yeah. And you know what that means? That means this, and this. And then that's when Shane and I just started figuring out how to teach each other, with like the blind leading the blind. Watching videos, asking questions to our other friends who are base jumpers. And but most importantly, we were videoing everything that we did so that we could analyze it and go, hey, let's debrief that jump and figure out how we can do it better so that we'll never die in this sport. So, yeah, we just videoed it, and we kind of taught ourselves and learned a lot along the way from other people. But it was Frank that got Shane and I started on the base jumping side of things, and skydiving as well. Instead of training with Frank, learn how to sit fly and get head down. And then I was hanging out with Diving Dave and Alaska John and Charles, Brian and Mike Vale and the team. And then Jeff Provenzano and I started our own team with Steve Blinko. We started the Tahoe Dust Devils, and we went and competed in nationals in 2001 and went from hanging out at a small drop zone to Eloy, Arizona. And oh my goodness, that was awakening for me. Like, wow, this is huge drop zone. Tons of airplanes just lapping, parachutes in the air all day. I'm used to getting on a King Air or a Caravan and doing laps, but not like with otters running constantly all day, backing each other up. And it was just an amazing change to see, to go to a giant drop zone after, living in a tent at a smaller, Cessna and King Air drop zone.
It's nicer living in a tent at a larger drop zone, right?
Yeah.
A restaurant and a bar.
Yeah, totally.
Let me pause you there for a moment.
Sure.
When I had the privilege of interviewing you at PIA earlier this year in Reno, and then you mentioned Shane McConkey's name. You've mentioned him several times. Mm-hmm. I don't think like newer jumpers in the sport know who that is.
Yeah, you got to watch that movie McConkey to find out who Shane was.
It is the most extraordinary document. Is that on Amazon or? Yeah,
it was on Netflix. I'm not sure where it is now, where it lives, but you could still see. I bet Google it, and then bang, it's going to be somewhere. Here, I'll Google it right now.
I'll put it in the show notes for anyone that's interested. But
yeah,
could you just share a little bit about who he was and
oh my gosh,
his incredible achievements?
Yeah. When I met Shane, he was this long-haired goofball who I got in a car with and went bungee jumping. And my friend Mark Broderick and I jump in this car with him and Kent Kreitler, and they just moved from Colorado up to Tahoe to Squaw Valley to ski. They were pro skiers. And I just thought they were just goofballs, man, because their sense of humor was just uncanny. It was hilarious, but it was just like Beavis and Butthead style, like super dumb. And it was just, by being that dumb, it was even more funny. And so we kind of hit it off and clicked pretty right off the get-go. But it wasn't until we started skydiving together when we started really hanging out. And he's a pro skier who almost made the U.S. team. They said he was too small and not strong enough, this and that. When I watched him race, he always won, and he turned it into like the film side of things, working with Matchstick Productions. Check out Matchstick Productions. They've got endless footage of Shane McConkey. He did a movie called Something About McConkey, and he said to me while we were skydiving and we started learning how to base jump together, he's like, hey, I'm trying to get music for this movie that I'm making, but it's really expensive to, buy music. I'm all, I'll write you a song, dude. He's like, really? You write a song? I'm like, yeah, I wrote a song for you. I wrote a song called Living the Dream Falling. And that is just in my hard drive. I need to get that out somehow, somewhere, Spotify or something. But it's called.
Do you still remember the lyrics?
Oh yeah. It's recorded. It's in the movie. I've sing it all the time. But it's like, living the dream, falling. Some people scream, but we be yes, y'allin'. Living the dream, falling. Looking, you see, my destiny's calling. And it's it's all about skydiving, and I'll get it out there. Well, we'll tie it into this. How's that? So you can like download it, because it's a pretty cool song. And but I wrote it in a day. We went and recorded it that afternoon. I wrote it in the morning. We recorded it in the afternoon, and it went into his movie. And he gave me my own segment in a movie about him. Put a Miles Daisher segment in a Shane McConkey movie. I was super honored. And and Shane, he was, the Red Bull skier guy, and Charles and Mike Vale and Alaska John were the Red Bull skydiver guys. And I just got tied in to the right place at the right time, the right people. And Frank Gambalie was the Red Bull base jumper guy, and then just kind of met everybody at the right time when things were kicking off. And then I kind of became kind of jumped into kind of gambler's slot after he passed for base jumping. And it started out, I was ground crew guy for the team at the drop zone. And it was just a skydive Lake Tahoe team. Like, hey, we're going to go jump into the 4th of July to Donner Lake. And we need ground crew because you have to have that. And would anyone like to do that? I'm like, I'll do it. I'll hang out with you guys. That'd be awesome. I was always like, these guys are my heroes, watching the Chronicles, the Free Fly Clowns. And 1, 2, and 3, we just always watch those before we go skydiving. And then you get to the drop zone and I'm like, let's do one of these tricks that we just watched on the video, And so I'm like, yeah, I'll ground crew for you. And next thing you know, we're at Donner Lake and you show the guys, okay, this is the water. You're going to land in water. It's going to be knee deep, so you could do whatever you want. Try to keep your container dry. Your canopy's going to get wet. That's cool. But there's too many people everywhere else, but you can land on the water. I'll clear the beach. I'll get the kids out of the water for you just before you go. And, after we land, we'll go throw the stuff in the shade here and hang out for a while, right? They're like, yeah, we want to watch the fireworks. I'm like, okay, cool. So I drop them off at the airport, come back and talk to, the food vendors. Hey, I got some skydivers coming in. I'll send them over here. We'll hook them up for free food. And the beer guys, I'm all, hey, the skydivers are coming in. They're going to want beers when they land. They're all, here, take these and tell them to come over for free beer. I'm all, sweet, my man. And so I had beers waiting for them, and they come in, they get ready to jump. I clear the water, get all the kids out. Hey guys, you guys mind coming out of the water? We got skydivers coming in. It's going to be hot. It's going to be awesome. They're going to come in faster than a speeding ticket. And the 3 of them come in, swooping it in, just dragging toes, doing Superman, and then they keep their reserves dry, but their canopies are all wet. And I'm all, all right, good job, guys. Come on over here, throw your stuff down. Here's some beers. They're like, yeah, good job, Miles. Best ground crew ever, And then I go, these guys want to feed you. And they go over and eat. I lay out their wings. I dry everything off. And once their lines are dry, I packed all their rigs for them, threw them in the car. We watched the fireworks. I drive everybody home, and they're all, okay, let's grab our rig. We got to pack that for tomorrow morning because we got an early load. I'm all, you're packed, dude. You want me to just bring the rig to the drop zone and meet you there? And they're like, best ground crew ever. So I just did ground crew for, Charles and Mike and John. And then after a while, they're like, hey, we need another jumper. Miles, you can do this. And I started jumping with them. And next thing you know, we started forming a team, Red Bull Air Force, and doing demos, and here we are, still rocking it. I've been doing demos for 20 years now, like living the dream.
I didn't realize that was the start of Red Bull Air Force.
Yeah, it was Skydive Lake Tahoe. It was John and Charles and Mike, yeah, and Shane got to do a bunch of demos, and Shane and I got on those because we had base jumping canopies, and we would start out doing on base canopies, and then next thing you know, we got Spectre 120s, and we're swooping in on the actually we got Stiletto 120s.
So you make it sound like, and maybe it was easier than it is now, but it's like, hey, we're going to become the Red Bull Air Force. But you got to pitch it, right? Like they got to say, yeah, we'll sponsor this.
They have to sign off on it. And we were doing like the first year for free. Like the first year and a half, we didn't get paid anything. They just covered our airfare. they covered all the expenses, that kind of thing. And yeah, I got, hey, we want you to jump out of paragliders with your base rig. I'm like, okay. And next thing you know, I'm on a flight to, really what happened was when Shane pitched a project for base jumping up in Baffin Island, that's when Red Bull guys got all together and said, hey, who's going to go on this trip? It's going to be $500,000 to send these guys to the Arctic, and to go rally off all these, gnarly cliffs in the Arctic Circle, 4,000, 5,000 foot cliffs, and totally risking their lives just for the cold and the environment and that kind of thing. And okay, Shane's list says Felix Baumgartner's on the list. Yeah, Red Bull athlete. There you go. Charles Bryan, Red Bull skydiver. There you go. Mike Vail, Red Bull skydiver. There you go. Shane McConkey, Red Bull skier. There you go. And Miles D. Who the hell is Miles D? And a couple friends of mine spoke up in the meeting who I had been hanging out with, and they had heard my song Living the Dream Falling and seen some of my swoops and some of the just like running around all blah, like all fired up to get fired up. And I worked up in the wintertime at Points North Heli Adventures fueling helicopters, and they had the Red Bull Snow Thrill of Alaska up there where a bunch of extreme skiers came up and started sending it big mountain style. And I was kind of the go-to guy for when you get back. What do you guys need? Come on in. Here's dinner. Here's beers. I'm going to go start the sauna over there and start a fire, and it'll make this really hot sauna. And down day activity director. But Bob Unvert, LBU, Long Bob Unvert, he is the film producer that was Ocean Watch that Red Bull used. And he and I hit it off because we both went to Chico State, graduated the same college. And I would bring them food and beer while they're editing, and they're all, Miles is our favorite, And then next thing you know, he's speaking for me in the meeting. And Paul Crandall, who I went mountain biking with through Uncle E, Chris Ernst, who announces the Olympics now, he started border cross and skier cross, and Red Bull was the title sponsor for that. And it was called Lord of the Boards. And actually, Chris didn't start that. I started that. No, Chris conceptualized it and invented it, but I was the starter who went 10 seconds and dropped the gate, But yeah, working through different people and knowing different, skier sides of things and skydiver sides of things and base jumper sides of things. Next thing you know, I went to Baffin Island with Shane and Charles and Felix Baumgartner and Mike Vail. And when I got back, it was the year after Frank Gambalie passed. They said, hey, we want you to take Frank's place and jump from these paragliders and do the stuff. And here's a helmet, here's a rig. And I'm like, oh my God. And my friend's like, you know what this means? I'm like, yeah, free trip to go base jumping. Woo! And then it evolved from there, doing ground crew for the boys. And then like, hey, you're going to need, can you jump this 120? I'm like, yep. Can you jump it into this lake? Yep. Okay, game on. Do a couple practice jumps. Show us your stuff. And I'm like, okay, all right, you're cool for the lake. Let's go. And then I'm on the, started doing the demos with the guys. And now we're doing like 56 shows a year as a team. And it's a busy time in the skydiving world.
Where was the threshold of you being like, the Red Bull Air Force is this new thing and you guys are doing it for free, on their dime, I guess, but not getting salaries, I suppose.
Yeah.
When does it shift? Like, what was it where Red Bull corporate goes, we need to take care of these guys. Like, they're bringing us the attention as intended, It was when I moved here to Twin Falls and started teaching base jumping in 2004. It was like, okay. We would get paid a little bit, like, oh, look, you got this media thing and here's a bonus, good job, and that was awesome. And then, then I signed a contract, like the first signed contract, in 2004. And, just been rocking it since. Is that kind of wild, Miles? Like all you've ever done is sort of chase your heart, right? Like you're just chasing my passion.
Still am.
And still am, but it's sort of like, was it like a pinch me? Like, oh, you're going to pay me for this? Yeah.
Well, it was kind of like, I had to send out an ultimatum. Well, it wasn't even an ultimatum. I said, hey, appreciate everything. That was awesome. I got a family now. I'm about to go get this full-time job. I just called up and said, hey, I got to get this job. I got a family and this and that. And he goes, well, what's your contract say? I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I've never had an athlete manager, and most Rebel athletes have an athlete manager. And yeah, they're like, oh, you don't even have one. Oh, okay. Well, let's make this your contract. I'm like, oh, okay. Then I can keep that'll keep me busy, but I'll still need to do a few other things. They're like, yeah, no problem. We're going to have these jobs and that kind of thing. And then it just kind of progressed and evolved from there. And the thing back in the day then was Shane and I we were putting together like a TV show pilot for the Discovery Channel and that kind of thing. And we had a whole television series sold, and here one day, gone the next, yeah, it was, we had all kinds of irons in the fire, and just things were just blowing up all over, and it never went super big, but I've always kept it small fire, medium, large style, more web style based things than TV show style thing. I've done quite a few TV shows, working on a few commercials and that kind of thing. And just a couple of years ago, right before Tom Cruise jumped off of a cliff with a motorcycle for Dead Reckoning, I worked with Tom. So yeah, we've been kind of led gifted and blessed lives, and yeah, hanging out with Tom Cruise was absolutely amazing. Doing the old, okay, let's get you ready to ride a motorcycle off a cliff with a base rig packed in a skydiving container, so you have a backup still, even though you're going to have to be on your A game to use that, but this parachute's going to totally work for you. And Tom pulled it off 7 out of 7 times, perfect on heading openings, perfect body position. Every jump was flawless, whether there was a camera on the bike or a drone chasing him or a helicopter chasing him or nothing chasing him. He did everything perfect every time and acted. And it was just amazing to be able to hang out with that kind of talent. But, John DeVore and I were able to help coach him. And it was just, I can't even tell you. It was like I've always wanted to be a stuntman and, do the Hollywood thing. And here we are living the dream and box ticked. You know what I mean? It's yeah, everything that we've been dreaming about as we're kids, we're slowly getting to the end of that list. So now we need to start recreating things. And what are we going to do?
I saw the behind the scenes clip to help promote the movie.
Yeah.
And I saw you and John DeVore. Whenever I hear anyone like Craig O'Brien talk about working with Tom, he is this incredible machine who is such a professional and always on, there's so much going on in terms of his time management.
Oh yeah.
Is this guy just on
another level?
What's he like? What, I mean,
he's busy.
Probably going to say he's a jerk.
Busy.
Yeah.
Driven, focused, intelligent. He's always trying to okay, we got this, we got this, we got this, we got this, we got to knock these out. This is our day. And he's got it all boom written out, and we go, okay, here's what we've got planned. And he's like, okay, I'll have only until this time, or let's get busy. Let's talk about this and let's go. And we just tried to make things very efficient for him so that when he would land, come running over, he ran everywhere. He doesn't walk. If he does walk, he walks with purpose. He's not just strolling along through life. He's got to get somewhere and do something, and always from the time he meets us to okay, guys, thanks for today. Thank you. Appreciate you. He thanks everybody. He doesn't leave anybody out. He's such a thoughtful person, but very driven. And he's like, okay, gotta go. And just jogging over to the helicopter, back to the studio and getting ready to, I don't know, do everything else that he does, But when we saw him every time we were together, he's just switched on and focused and very kind too, yeah, he got fired up at sometimes, but that's because there are times when you need to get fired up when things are starting to not stay in line with where we need to go. Cause trying to make a Hollywood movie is not an easy task. It's you got to rein in lots of cats, and okay, we got so many moving parts, and he was very focused and able to do so he knows how to make movies. He does.
Yeah. So Miles, if you toss me your iPhone and I'm scrolling through your contact list, who's the most famous person in that contact list?
Me. I'm just kidding. I don't have him on speed dial. So yeah, he would be the most famous person for sure. And I I don't have that, but most famous person, I don't really know. A lot of my friends are famous.
Yep.
I've got quite a few famous people, I couldn't pinpoint just one really. That's a tough question.
One of my favorite shows, skydiving or base jumping, that I loved was Miles Above.
Thank you. Yes. Me too.
Loved it. And what was that, 2, maybe 3 seasons?
Yeah, we did 3 seasons. Yeah,
3 seasons.
10 episodes, first one, 8 episodes, and then 6 episodes. Yeah.
It has left me wanting more.
Yes. Yeah.
So tell me how that happens. For those of you that are listening and not familiar with this, it was really a web series. I think it was on the Red Bull's website was really the only place I think you could watch it.
Yeah.
And it was great. I knew the episodes came out, I think, weekly, and I was always like, yep.
No, monthly.
Miles Above. It was monthly. Okay.
Monthly, yeah.
I knew I was always looking for it. So for those of you that haven't seen it, you need to go watch it. How did that come together? And then how did you figure out, all right, you got to create content?
Yeah.
Now it's on. So how did you work all that out?
It's pretty funny because it all started where I met this guy named Charlie, and we were at a Flugtag down in Florida. When we went and scouted it, I'm like, whoa, look at these buildings here. They're huge. I got to bring my base rig because I'm going to jump off them, for fun. But I'm not going to do it before my job because I don't want to get in trouble and not be able to perform, So I go do my jump onto the Flugtag barge, and then I go scout the building out. And as soon as I got there, I scouted the building, and I was like, oh, no brainer. Open that door, open this door. You're on the roof, go jump. And so I put my stuff away and just stay there. Just don't think about this. Don't think about this. Do the jump. And then after the jump, I'm really thinking, okay, I want to jump this thing. After I did my job, the skydive job, I'm getting ready to go do some extracurricular base jumping before we go to the big Flugtag party that they have at this bar a few blocks down. And I'm nervous because if I get in trouble, my wife, Nikki, says, don't call me if you get busted base jumping illegally. You're on your own for that. I'm like, okay. And I just talked to some dudes who were like, oh, dude, we got your back. We'll bail you out if you get arrested. I'm all, can I get your number then? And okay, here we go. I'm going for it. Uncle E, Chris Ernst was down in the lobby, and Luke Akins, he was out front with the friends, they're going to watch it out front. And I climb up on the roof, and I get my gear on, and I get ready, and I call down to Luke. I'm all, hey, man, there's a cop sitting right next to you, bro. And he's all, yeah, he's not even looking, man. And if he does look, I'll get naked and run around and cause a diversion for you. I'm like, sweet, thanks, bro. So I jump. He doesn't notice, land, walk out, and I stashed a beer because I bought 2 buckets of beer, but I didn't drink any before I went jumping. But I put one right where I was going to walk out because it's part of my cover. You walk out of the stairs, crack a beer. I'm just walking, drinking a beer, chilling. What? Hey, I'm just a beer guy. What's up? And I walk up to my room, and Uncle Lee's standing there with the owner of the hotel. Hey, Miles, did you just base jump? And I got my stuff sack full of gear, and I just drink this beer, and I go, I don't even know what you're talking about. Because I knew who was standing next to it. I'm like, dude, you can't just fess up to that, right? And so I run upstairs, put on a shirt, and ran out to the party. And as soon as I get to the party, this guy, Charlie Rosine, he's like, hey, how's it going, man? We're looking for show ideas and web-based stuff, and we want to put together a webisode, And I'm like, oh, I got one for you. And they're like, yeah, what's that? I'm all, just follow me. He's like, what? Yeah, just follow me. We'll get into shenanigans, dude. We'll go base jumping. We'll go skydiving. We'll go kayaking, skyacking. I could go around and just meet cool friends that are doing amazing things and just showcase them, and my teammates and that kind of thing, And our team is amazing, and we do so many things, and I could introduce everybody and just kind of be the mouth of the whole thing, and they're like looking at each other and they're like, what is he talking about? And right when they look at each other and start having their doubts, this girl walks over and she goes, oh, that was an awesome jump. Do you want to see the video? I got it. I'm like, yeah. And she shows us the video of the base jump. And those guys were like, whoa, that's amazing. When did you do that? And I look at my watch, I'm all, that was 15 minutes ago, bro. They're like, no way. I'm all, yeah. So I was, you have permission for that? I'm all, no. And then, and they were like, wow. So their brain started ticking. And then I got a phone call later. I gave them my number and got a phone call. And that's how Miles Above started. And we just started kind of laying out the script and like, okay, we're going to do skyacking. Okay, we're going to do wingsuiting. We're going to do paramotoring. We're going to, and we just started laying out all the different things that we could do and who we're going to do them with, and going to Moab with like Sketchy Andy Lewis and JT Holmes, and jumping off the Titan where we jug up the ropes and oh man, it just turned into so much fun. And after the first season, they're like, that was great. Let's do it again. So we got 3 seasons out of it, and it kind of went away just because that budget went into different things that we're doing as a whole team. But I really would love to bring it back because it was super fun, and it all lives. All of the Miles Above episodes are on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and type in Miles Above, boom, there you go. You get like all of the. Click your favorites and go.
I will put them in the show notes. We'll get those counts up because it's been a few years.
Scotty Mac,
it was great. I was sorry that it stopped. I loved it.
Yeah, that's all right. Scotty Mac, he shoots football, pro football, NFL. Sky McLaughlin. He's the guy that shoots the super zoomed in shot of the football spiraling into your fingertips, all, and he shot and edited all of the Miles Aboves, and he's amazing. Dude, we'll go have a beer, start drawing it up on a napkin. This is what it's going to look like. Here's our outline, and then next thing you know, he's putting it together, and then he's like, oh, we need some fill-in stuff. Can you do this voiceover? Yep. And we work together on that and put it all together. But Scotty Mac is really the brains behind the whole thing, and the organizer, if you will, of the show.
Miles, you've done so many skydives, so many base jumps. Is there any one, like, when you sit back, if you ever do, and go, yeah, that was particularly cool? Is there something that you're particularly proud of, either in accomplishment or was like, damn, that one was cool?
Yeah, there's a couple. Like my really technical jumps that I've done have been low jumps that have been static lines, and then and landing in super tight areas like Petra, Jordan, and into the Gaylord Hotel in Baltimore, Maryland. And the Baltimore, Maryland one, I had to work out with. I measured it, laser rangefinders, and I brought a rolling measuring tape to find out how big the inside of this building is, and it's a 220 foot from top to bottom. But I had a ledge 170 feet below me. I had to open up and turn right, and then I had to fly under a glass atrium and then into a small courtyard, through a water fountain and into the courtyard. I put together a mock-up course of that building on the bridge here in Idaho, and I used ropes hanging with weights and flags, and I jumped it when there was no wind only. To get a real accurate, like a perfect mock-up of it, like, because it's going to be inside a building with 0 wind. So jumping off of this bridge, I got to do it when there's no wind. And in the middle of winter, usually snowing or raining when there's no wind. And it was kind of miserable training for it. But I did 86 practice jumps to prepare myself for the day of. And then when it was time to do the jump inside the building, there was no hesitation. They counted me down. 3, 2, 1, go. On command, jump, open, turn, fly, flare, show the logo, slow things down, sink, let your hands up, surge through the water fountain, flare, land on the button, woo, and then pump the brakes, get the logo back behind you, get the money shot with like looking cool in front of the, all the cameras, like CNN, NBC, ABC. Everybody was there, the University of New York, and oh my gosh.
How low is it?
220 feet from top to bottom. And it was a sporty one.
When you've got a real technical jump, what is your process mentally?
First of all, is it possible?
No, but I'm saying like when you're preparing to actually
I'm getting ready to do it.
Like you've already determined that it's possible.
I know it works and everything, and I'm setting that up and going. Yeah. I have a gear check list that you do, just like you're putting on your rig to go skydiving, you know? I'm like, okay, check your pins, check your risers are connected, check everything, how it's going to open. And in this case, I'm checking my static line, how I'm connecting that, and using brake cord or electric tape. And I like to rock electric tape because that's just how we learned it. Shane and I, we kind of invented our own way of doing static lines for bridles. And it's not using the old 80-pound brake cord. It's electric tape that snaps. It just works. It's kind of amazing science. I get my gear together. I go through my checklist. Okay, leg straps, chest strap, everything's cool. Check the winds, spit off the top, you know, watch your spit go and see what's going on with the winds. We used to throw these little parachute guys. And then when it's time to like actually do the jump, that's when I take a couple deep breaths and just hype myself up, you know, and just sometimes I'll smack my face a little bit. And like, this is when it counts right now. Better pull together, you know, because if you don't do this perfect, it's going to be bad, you know, and you want to hype yourself up and be ready for it. But before you get hyped, you want to make sure you've looked at everything. Did I miss something? Is there a power line? Is there wind I don't know about? Is there a lightning storm coming in? You know, anything. You know, what happens if an earthquake happens right now? I think of all the craziest things too. What if a meteorite came through there? Jump now, beat it down. You know, I don't know. That's getting crazy, but I do think like that. And then you get hyped to go.
Do you ever feel self-doubt?
And if I do feel self-doubt, I back up. I look at it again. I'm like, why? Why am I not wanting this? And if you're not just like, out of my way, I'm going for it. If you're not like that, then don't go. You know, and if you're doubting yourself, then hang on, time out. Sorry, Mr. Producer, not ready to jump on command yet, you know. But then when all things are good and like, okay, we're almost to 11 o'clock, that's when we're supposed to jump. You know what I mean? That's usually you're set on a time schedule, that kind of thing. So I just try to prepare myself in time to give myself an extra 15 minutes to just kind of keep my head clear and like, okay, 15 minutes, I'm going to send it. It's going to be this, it's going to be that, it's going to be this. And then you just get pretty much tunnel vision, you know, once you get it dialed in your head and you know what you need to do perfectly, you visualized it forwards, backwards, and forwards again. Because, you know, you visualize it, what you want to do and land there. And then if I land there, I need to fly from this point and then turn and fly from this point to get to that point, you know, for your final turn. Like that's my setup spot to hit the bullseye. Because in this sport, you're only as good as your last landing. And if you didn't land on the bullseye, you know, you better get better and retrain and start over and do something else.
But let's say, I mean, it's partly like when you're getting paid to do something, you know, whether you're a tandem instructor and the wind's a little high, but, you know, but
risk mitigation, you know,
Yeah. Like, I mean, if it's in front of a big crowd, let's not say it's just like, you know, hey, Mr. Producer Man, but rather like, hey, we're jumping into
people,
X,
you know, football game.
Yeah. And suddenly self-doubt comes like, do you have the wherewithal to go, nope.
Oh yeah.
Hold on.
I got no problem backing out. But I am a mover.
Have you ever backed out?
Yeah. I've walked away from lots of things, you know? Yeah. I've walked away from things when the conditions were perfect because I wasn't just feeling it right then, you know? But usually when we're pro style and we're out there ready to rock and roll, we're trying to make it happen, you know? Okay, but now then there's this. Okay, we can manage that if we do this. But now there's also this external factor. There's two things. We can still manage it if we do this and this. Now there's third thing thrown in there. Oh, yep, that's done. We're out. You know, hey, let's put it off for an hour and see if we can regroup. And you know,
You make so many jumps off the Perrine Bridge, right? Weekly, it seems like.
Yep. I'm one a day average, basically.
One a day. Okay,
I'll leave for like a couple weeks or something, and then come back and bang out like 6 in a day, that kind of deal.
Last week, let me back up. This is not a very technical jump for you. You do it so much. Is there any level of complacency that sinks in because you have done this so much? And here's the reason why I'm asking. Is I saw a video of you last week. Hey, I'm not a base jumper. I've watched a lot of base on TV. And you made a jump last week, I think it was last week on social, where it looked dirty low.
It was low.
And it was low. It's like you did one right turn and you landed in the water.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did he do that on purpose? Was that not on purpose? Did he land and go, oh, damn, I took that too low?
I knew it was low. I knew it was going to be low to begin with because I had packed for that low opening, you know. I still use a 42-inch pilot chute, but I had a slider up back job with a roll nose with a brake on the slider, like a piece of 0P fabric in the center of the slider. And so like I knew I was going to be low, and I set it up where I could do that so that I could do extra tricks. You know what I mean? And as I'm throwing my tricks, I usually do a front flip full twist, then a front flip half twist, and then a back flip and pull. And as I'm into it, I'm like, dude, these are going smooth. This is going awesome. Throw another flip on there because I've always wanted to and I've been thinking about it. But it wasn't until I was in the moment thinking on my feet where I throw another one. So I did 4 flips instead of 3. And on that 4th flip, as I'm flipping, spinning, and I'm into my first flip, I look out the side doors and I'm like, oh yeah, I've got the height, you know. So I throw another one and I pull, and then I'm watching my shadow of the lines going and the slider coming down, and I'm like, well, may not make the beach, because my plan was to make a full 180 and hit the beach, but I knew I had enough to open. But before I jumped off, I moved myself out over the water so that I could do that 180 and hit the beach perfectly, which worked out perfectly for the just 90 and going into the water. If I had turned a second earlier, like if I had 1 extra second, I would have stood it up on the land. But I was out over the water and I kind of put myself there just so that I can totally get rad and not have to worry about the landing as much, so I could worry more about the aerials. So yeah, that was a sporty one, dude. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I've been practicing tricks off helicopters at air shows, like just the day before yesterday. Yeah. Throwing backflip, full twist, and then backflip, and then opening up, and then I go to the bridge, and then I'll practice it off the bridge here. So when
you go to a demo, how does it work? Like, are you sending all your footage to an editor and they're putting it together for socials, or are you doing all that yourself? Because it seems like the output is a lot.
Yeah, I'm doing it myself, but like every once in a while, like I get a call like, dude, that footage is sick. Can you send it to here? You know, and that's pretty much how it rolls, you know.
Do you have some kind of systematic cataloging of all your jumps through all these years?
I've got them on a hard drive, and I make an A list file and a B list, and then the rest just kind of go into dates and times and what they are. So yeah, Shane taught me how to catalog those. It's a lot of work watching all that footage and cataloging it. That's what takes more time than anything, really, is keeping track of all that footage. What I need is an intern, somebody who wants to get an A in movie producing, you know, or video editing, and is not really looking for money yet, but is willing to put in the miles to get things going really well, that it's a sought after thing, and then turn that into a job.
As a Red Bull athlete, are you required to do some kind of, you know, sort of continuous education in social and you know, how to get all your stuff out there, because you're repping the brand, right? They want it to be seen.
Yeah, no, that's just something I want to do myself. You know what I mean? I want to promote this sport, and I'd like to create, I got some ideas, some irons in the fire about training videos, how to make cooler training videos that will capture your attention and they're fun to watch, but you learn from. And I think that's the kind of key, is to get some knowledge out of it. So it's not just something fun to watch and go, oh, that was cute, you know, neat, far out. It'd be better to go, that was awesome, and I learned from that, and that's gonna help me become a better person.
So I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of contracts with Red Bull, because I'm sure they probably don't want you talking about that. But what's the expectation from you? You know, it's like you're repping this huge brand. What are you on the hook for?
You know, I mean, it depends. Like, there's different sports that, like, there's skateboarders, there's jet skiers, you know, there's skydivers, race car drivers, you know, F1 drivers. There's so many. Red Bull, gets behind so many athletes in so many ways. And I can't say that I know what it is the expectations are for everybody, but I know if you get on a podium, boom, bonus, and if you, win the Olympics, bonus, that kind of thing. I don't even know if that's even legit, right? If you win the Olympics and then get paid, I don't even know how that works. I just made that up. But yeah, no, I mean, for me as a person like me, it's they love it when you get so many eyes on your social media, which makes me start to get into it more so like, okay, posting on a consistent time instead of opposed to like whenever I feel like it. I've kind of fallen back into whenever I feel like it right now. That's because I'm so busy with doing other projects and this kind of thing. But yeah, there is a method to the madness, and they help train us as well with it. We've gotten people from GoPro come out and help us with like, hey, how to edit all this footage faster and more efficiently, and how to get it out there. And here's some key words to use while getting it out there and learning the algorithms. Oh my gosh, the old algorithms. I don't even know. I just think if you say that 5 times really fast, it helps because, somebody's always listening.
What is the most viral video you've had?
I think 7 million, something in there.
Not bad there, Miles.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
This podcast is sponsored by Beyond Marketing, the digital marketing agency for the skydiving industry. As avid podcast consumers ourselves, we're not fans of ads during a podcast, so we'll spare you the details about why we love building websites and helping businesses show up in Google search results. But just know this, we're passionate about the skydiving industry and how it markets itself. Look us up at dropzone.marketing. Again, that's dropzone.marketing. After you get like all this adrenaline jumping into 80,000 people and
you run about a quarter mile and you high five everybody that's up against the fence watching. That's a good way to decompress. And then you go pack your parachute and chill. Go find yourself a nice shade spot and then pack your parachute. And when I'm packing afterwards, I am thinking about what just happened, kind of debriefing in my own mind, and then go get some food and talk about it with your friends, Yeah.
Do you feel like exhausted at the end of your day?
Sometimes. Depends how hot it is. We were just in Kansas City and oh my gosh, it was like a $1.06 right there. At the end of the jump day that we did, we took care of ourselves, we hydrated and the whole thing. We went to the roller coasters and rode roller coasters for like 6 hours after that. But after that, oh my gosh, standing in line for roller coasters. Actually, there were no lines, but in the heat, 106 degrees and, not in the shade, I was a little bit tired after that, but just swallowing water like it was air, You got to stay hydrated when you're doing this sports because once you get dehydrated, the first thing to go is your depth perception. And that's kind of huge in this sport because that's when you gotta, when do I get into yank down time, and how do I flare this to be perfectly hovering and then hit the bullseye. So yeah, you want to take care of your body and yourself. You want to make sure you eat, make sure you drink water, make sure you're properly rested, and sometimes you're missing 1 or 2 or sometimes 3 of those things and you're still performing. But yeah, you try to take care of yourself as best as possible.
If there's a young base jumper out there or skydiver that look at you go, man, you have incredible longevity, right? And so many of our friends we've lost.
Yeah.
What makes you so special? Why are you still doing your thing?
Yeah, that's just from the beta that I got as a kid and growing up. My dad was a fighter pilot, and he told me never paint yourself into a corner. Always give yourself an out. So even that low pole that I did off the bridge, a week ago was, or less than a week ago, it looked gnarly. I knew I had extra buffer, and when you start using that extra buffer, that's when you need to back up and say, whoa, I'm pushing too hard. I need to back off. I need to go chill, retrace my steps from the beginning to get to where I want to be. You don't just go out there and start just full send and, whoa, look at my 1 million views on that. I just saved my own life barely. No, you want to be able to pull it off with a buffer, with margin for error. I think the biggest thing, though, is to be fit, is to take care of your body. And I was a wrestler and runner, and that just helped me out so much in life just to be strong physically. I train for power because in this sport, endurance is good, strength is good, but power is what's needed in sky sports. And power is just explosiveness. So yeah, you want to just practice like jump, plyometric training, that kind of thing.
So what does that look like? How much are you doing that a week?
3-4 days a week. I do it all the time. I make it more of a lifestyle thing than like, okay, set here, go there. I'll go to the bridge and hike. And then some days I'll be out, okay, this is going to be a speed hiking day. I feel great. I'm going to run out of this canyon as fast as I can. I won't be able to talk. I'm going anaerobic, but I'm going to get out of there quick. And that hurts. And then you have to recoup from that. You do 2 or 3 of those and you're going to feel it the next day. But I don't do that every day. I'll do that maybe once every 2 weeks when I just speed hike out of the canyon. But the big thing is to just always constantly keep it moving, keep going. Don't stop. Push a little bit.
Miles, how old are you now?
How old am I? Oh, 54. I'm just 54.
I mean, look, you are the youngest 54 I know, right?
Thank
so, and I
identify as 30.
I see you as 30.
Maybe 28. Yeah.
I had a chat with Craig Girard last week, I think he's 56, 57-ish. He was world champion last year with on 8-way.
Yeah.
And it's like
he's world champion every year. He's Craig Girard.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's the man. Oh my God, I love him.
It's just not the same. I remember when I was a kid, anyone in their 50s was old.
Yeah.
Now I'm kind of getting up there and I feel young, but it just seems like your commitment to fitness. I look at Jeffro and all he's doing with his flexibility and his yoga, and it's definitely,
you have to stay on it. You can't let it go. Once you let it go, you have to fight harder to get it back. But it comes back. It comes back pretty quick if you do let off. Like if you quit lifting weights and then you come back to lifting weights, all of a sudden pump back up to right where you were when you were at your max. But then if you want to progress from there, that's the trick, taking it to the next level. And that's just like being top of your game and then pushing a little bit harder. You can't just get comfortable. You have to always keep shoving it forward, and like never relax really. I mean, there is definitely, you want to relax, but, and one of my favorite things is too, at the end of the day, is to totally chill and just reflect. What happened today? That was awesome. And it's fun when you're with your bros and like, dude, that time you jumped and that thing you did was gnarly. Let's bring it back like to this, or that was so sick. If you push harder, you could do this. But having that reflection time to like what happened, it's like giving yourself your own personal debrief, like what did I do today? That was crazy. How can I continue that and make it work in a positive, growing manner? So have reflection time and have rest time. But when you get up in the morning, like, let's go, charge,
How old were you when you decided to do the 63 jumps in 24 hours?
Oh gosh, I think I was 36. Okay. I've done this twice. I did 57 jumps in 20 and a half hours, and the winds picked up, and I had like 3.5 hours to go, and the winds went from 0 to 30 gusting 50. And so I just sat there and waited. Come on, it's going to pass through. I can keep going. I told everybody I'm going to do 50 base jumps, but really my goal was to do 60. And if I kept on my pace, I could have done 69. You know what I mean?
What was the motivation for that? And forgive me, I know you've talked about this a lot, but I know there's many in our audience that haven't heard this. But why did you want to do this? Nobody
was doing it, and I asked around them, what's the most base jumps that someone's done in a day? And I heard, 16. Ed Trick did 16 off an antenna, packed and jumped them all. That's pretty amazing. But he did that in 24 hours. And I'm like, okay, I could do that. I could double that. I could probably, if I'm going to do this, I want to put that record to bed, and try to nail it in. And I ended up going for it while my wife was trying to raise money for children with special needs, because as an occupational therapist, she sees these kids who are like, the parents can't support them, the government can't help them, they need help, but we don't know who to go to. So I'm all, well, let's do a fundraiser for them with this record. And she's like, oh, great idea. And we've created a fundraiser that now is self-supporting in the hospital. Nikki was able to set up a fund, a special needs fund, a fund for special needs children in the hospital that now self-generates. We put like $16,000 a year in it from just raising money. And
amazing.
For 10 years we did that. And now it just generates its own thing. But we kind of like doubled down and like, helped them while I did this, and like it just boosted this too, and to another level. And I trained for a whole year.
And the deal was you hiked out.
Yep.
No transportation out from
human powered, because there is a world record for the most base jumps in a day, and that's 201 by Dan Schilling, who used a crane to pull them up. And I went for the human powered method, using no outside source of energy except for a person.
You mentioned your wife, Nikki, and if you mind me asking, how did you guys meet?
She moved into a house I was couch surfing at in Tahoe, and she had graduated college, and I fell in love the first moment I saw her. Got her into skydiving a little bit. She came up to Points North Heli Adventures when I was couch surfing for like a month and a half in between my tent and going to Alaska to go fuel helicopters at a helicopter ski operation, Points North. I got her to come up and visit me up there, and game on. And we got together, and that's right before we went to Baffin Island and the whole Red Bull, everything started. And like, that was just like magical time in my life where everything just like,
Was she a hardcore jumper or anything like that? Or?
No, not at all. She was a snowboarder, occupational therapist who came up to Tahoe to go snowboarding and hang out. And then she came up to Alaska and snowboarded. She was going to stay for a week. I got her a job in the kitchen. She stayed up for a month. And when we moved back to Tahoe, we were dating. And then I got her to start skydiving. We took her for a tandem. And then next thing you know, she wants to get into it. Got her a parachute. And she's done one base jump off the bridge on her 25th birthday. It was a little overwhelming for her. She said I could keep that sport. But she was like, had a line twist, kicked out of it on a base jump. And that's kind of a sporty thing to get something like that, where you're like, oh God, here we go. I got to kick out of this line twist before I go land the single parachute system. It's pretty wild.
That is wild. Miles, sometimes, when we see people on social, there is a persona that they're putting out there.
Yep.
And I think I will be honest, when you first came in my radar, I thought that there was a persona. And as I've continued to observe you and talk with a mutual friend like Sonic, who's like, no, man, that guy, what you see is what you get. There isn't a persona. You are who you are. You seem very comfortable in your own skin. Some of us have hang-ups. Like, I don't feel insecurity with you. Like, you're just comfortable. You are who you are. I'll get to the question here in a second, but one thing I really appreciate and makes me go, man, I really want to interview. I don't want to interview you because you're a Red Bull athlete, Miles. I'm fascinated by you. Part of the reason for that is you'll sometimes post something on your social of date night with your wife.
Yeah.
I look at it and I go, man, that is beautiful, because the world would say, oh my God, she must be losing sleep, and how do they manage this guy with his risk and his globe trotting and all, and it feels pure.
Yeah.
It feels pure, and I'm not saying that nothing is perfect, but that's where my fascination with you is, Miles, is that you appear to be the real deal.
Yep.
It's just like very positive.
Thank you. Yeah, I try to keep positive since birth, because that's the only way to go. When you're positive, you grow. So, yeah, that's.
But where does that perspective come from? Because that's ideal. It's really a great way to live, but it's not easy, because otherwise everybody would do it, right?
Yeah, it takes work a little bit. My mom, when I was young, taught me, hey, smiling is contagious. Try it. Go around school and just smile at people, and it's not easy to use all those face muscles to go, smile at somebody, but you smile at them, they see you, and then they're like, oh, hey, smiley guy, smile right back, boom, contagious. And I don't know, I've just always started doing that. And, being a Boy Scout kind of helped mold who I am today too, trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, irreverent, all that. And just try to keep things positive and keep things moving and growing. And my thing is always trying to make the world a better place to live for you and I. So just try to keep it like that, and good things come to good people. So just be good and keep things moving, and you'll be doing just fine. This is kind of how I feel about life in general, and keep growing as a person, you know?
I feel like if I'm your kids, I mean, that's just like the best to have a dad with that, you know, positivity.
Yeah. I come at you in the morning like, hey, good morning. Today, do you want to be poopy or do you want to be awesome? And they're like, I want to be awesome, Dad. All right, let's go. Let's be awesome. Brush your teeth. Let's go. Make your bed. Come on. Yeah, good times. I'm not always awesome, though, just so you know. Like, just most of the time.
Who is? I mean, I doubt that you have more positive days and low days.
Yeah. Try to keep it moving forward. Always awesome, you know. But some days are like, oh, I don't feel like doing anything. I'm going to binge watch Netflix right here and get my Ted Lasso on, you know, and something like that, you know.
Why am I not surprised you referenced Ted Lasso of all the shows? Because
awesome?
Another such a positive.
It's so good.
God, didn't we need Ted Lasso in COVID? That was
He's my hero.
That was therapy.
Oh yeah.
That was therapy. Miles, I ask all of my guests this. In life, there is a crossroads moment that we, more than one, probably. For me, I used to be a golf pro. I had this guy with a Chevy Astra van that said Skydive Carolina Parachute Center. And it was a crossroads moment for me where I put my business card on his windshield going, hey, I'm kind of interested in this. I'd like to do a tandem. And then he leaves a brochure in the pro shop that says, hey, I've been struggling at golf for 19 years. I need golf lessons. Let's do a barter trade. If I don't leave the business card on the windshield, I'm not talking to you right now. It was a total crossroads moment where my entire life changed by following down this path and this curiosity.
Yeah.
Can you share a crossroads moment where had you not taken this one path, maybe you're not where you are today?
Yeah. I mean, it comes back to right when I graduated college. And there's so many different, like, oh my gosh, it's just like, I can't even believe we are here where we are now because there's so many ways to get out of line and not into where you need to be. But after college, I thought I'm going to go ski for a season and then surf for a season and then get my teaching credential and teach high school physical education. And I ended up turning that first ski season into 11 years. And then that's when I started skydiving in the middle of that. When Frank died, that's when I figured I'm going all in on this sport. You know what I mean? I was like on the fence, like, am I doing the right thing? He just died. I've seen so many people, like, things happen, but if you're focused, you can make this sport, you know, you could do it properly. And Frank, he always would talk about me, and he wouldn't teach me at the beginning. He would say, I want you to be in it and have longevity in it. Otherwise, don't get in it at all. And that's my goal, is to survive it, have longevity all the way through, and to be I don't know, not merely a benchmark, but this is what's possible. And that's what I'm always trying to do, is like, hey, this is possible. I could fly this bike off a cliff with a paraglider, or I could jump this kayak out of a plane and land it in a river. Or, you know, I'm always trying to figure out what you could do next, you know, like jump out of this paramotor and remote control it down. There's so many things, and like just keep dreaming up what you want to do and keep after it, but don't lose heart, I would say, because it's so easy for somebody to just make fun of you. And if you listen to everybody, you won't go anywhere in life, because most people are trying to break you down and go, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. And when people say that to me, you can't do what? You can't do what? Oh, watch this. I could totally do that. Hold my Red Bull. Check this move out. It's like not even that hard. You know, if you break it down into parts and build the steps up and then practice each step, and all of a sudden, bam, you're doing a task that you didn't even think was possible.
Why do you have the courage? Why have you had the courage to do what you wanted to do versus what society expects you to do? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I had to break some rules to start base jumping for sure, you know? And at first I wasn't like, hey, I don't know if I want to do this because I could get in trouble. But as long as I'm willing to face the music, if I did get in trouble and like, okay, got to go to court, got to do the thing, got to like, I'm a bad person because I trespassed, I'm just trying to leave footprints and take pictures. Nothing in life that's worth it is going to be handed to you. You know what I mean? If you want something and if it's going to be amazing, it's going to take a lot of hard work, and it's going to take a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and a little bit of suffering, and suffering is good for the soul as long as it's not just constantly suffering and it's taking away. It's like positive stress is good for you. Going into the gym, yes, it hurts, but it's building me up to be better. The trick is to know when you're getting positive stress or when you're breaking down the machine. And once you start breaking down the machine, it's hard to build it back up again. And yeah, people are always, a lot of people are going to tell you, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's not normal. You should have a job in a cubicle or whatever, like this is what I think is normal. And I don't like what normal is anyway. I've never been like the normal guy. I've been like, hey, can I borrow your guys' bikes and lay them out on the street, on the sidewalk here so I could build this ramp and see how many I could jump like Evel Knievel, because that's my hero right there, and I always wanted to be a stuntman in Hollywood and just been kind of training myself to become one. And I've ticked that box, Iron Man 3. I was Major Duxley reporting for duty, got blown out of Air Force One and grabbing onto all my friends and teammates with no goggles, hidden rigs, did 35 hidden rig jumps each for a world record. Like 12 of us did 35 hidden rig jumps, each. And it was amazing. And reshaping the way Hollywood shoots stuff and reshaping the whole game, and that whole project with Tom Cruise, reshaping the whole, we're going to motorcycle base jump. It's going to be epic. And, it's going to be in a movie. He's going to act while he does it. And we have to do it safely. So let's make it, we'll break this down and try to mitigate all of the risk and make it. And he crushed it too. I'm so proud of Tom. He's a hero to me. Not only is he the greatest actor, but his stunts are unbelievable. And this last stunt that he did, the motorcycle base jump, I think it's right up in his top one, honestly. And he did it so flawlessly, but it's just to have these opportunities in life, you got to go out and chase the dream. It's not going to come to you, but you have to push forward and kind of go for it and create and make things happen. I always read the chalkboard at school, and the teacher we used to have, there's 3 types of people: those who watch things happen, those who wonder what happened, and those who make things happen. And I'm always a builder and creator on what's possible. Here we are on the spinning globe in the universe, and it's spinning and it's shooting around the sun. And we're just like, woo, running around like ants, doing whatever we can. And I like to make my ant dance and just do the fun things and just like, this is what's humanly possible. Let's enjoy this human body and be awesome and crush it.
That is an amazing perspective. But how do you have that perspective? Because in 1 minute, we're talking about being a stuntman on Iron Man 3 and the coolness that was, and hanging out with not Tom Cruise, but on a first name basis. I'm so proud of Tom. And I'm wearing a hat right now, for those that cannot see, emblazoned Red Bull, one of the largest brands in the entire world. And there's no arrogance in you. Why? Because there's a lot of sky gods with far less accomplishments in our sport.
Yeah, I guess, it's like, I think that is what makes most Red Bull athletes, is you're able to be chill and a normal person, but still can like go raise some thunder and make some cool things happen, but not be a turd about it,
I was thinking, I'm listening to you and I have this dialogue going in the back of my brain, and I'm thinking, Miles Daisher wasn't on Red Bull Air Force or started Red Bull Air Force with these guys because he was necessarily good at what he was doing at that time. It was because of your attitude.
Yeah. Can do, make things happen.
Packing for people and bringing beer and, just sort of being Johnny on the spot of how can I make your life better?
Yep.
And that's such a rarity that it's really not surprising that you have the success that you have, Miles.
Nice.
You're a motivational speaker too.
Yes.
And I feel like we just got some. in closing, do you have a message for those that are listening, that aspire, that are listening to this on the edge of their seat going, I want to be like that guy?
Yeah, find out what it is, what you want to do, and go do it. Stop stopping, get after it, Don't hurt other people doing it, you know what I mean? But yeah. And there's so much knowledge to learn. You could use the internet and learn how to build your own rocket and go to the moon if you wanted to, I just say, get after it. And it's like Matthew McConaughey, start living, baby, LIVIN. Because we're alive right now. Let's use this time to show how to live well. That's kind of what I would say.
Miles, I think that's a perfect spot to wrap us up. We went over time. I'm very grateful. I was a little selfish there because I really enjoyed. I don't care about how many jumps you've got. What I respect and admire about you is how you treat others.
Yeah, I think that's.
And I just want to say for our listeners, your schedule is so busy, and the fact that you've been so generous with your time amidst getting ready to hit the road to Montreal and then somewhere else. Yep. It's amazing. And I'm super grateful. Thank you very much, my friend. You're a great example to us all.
I got to give you one more word of advice. Time management. You can manage your time, then you'll go far. And that's the hardest part of it is make a schedule and try to keep it. And okay, I'm going to wake up. I'm going to do these 4 things before this time. And then I'm going to eat and then do that. And then, but in the big picture, I need to schedule. I need to get my schedule tightened up, my calendar, So yeah, that's the hard part right there.
Do you book all your own flights and all that, or does someone manage it? Because that's
all of them. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That's super time consuming.
It is. But I'm getting pretty good at it. After 2.5 million miles on Delta, I'm like, oh yeah, let's dial that in. Sometimes you have to call in, and make things, special changes go. But, we're becoming professional travelers, world-class travelers. And it's just what an amazing opportunity to be able to do that too, right?
Sorry, one last question. Of all the beautiful places you've been, for me, it's South Island, New Zealand.
Nice.
My brain, I can't. Most beautiful place I've ever seen. For you, what's that place?
I am a really big fan of Lauterbrunnen, Switzerland, or Mürren, Switzerland, right around the Eiger Jungfrau Mountains. And I love just drinking out of the rivers, yodeling in the mountains, and flying my body through the sky with happy cows ringing bells in the landing area. Oh, man. There's just nothing like it. Yeah. And the chocolate's good, too. Woo!
Thank you once again, Miles. Appreciate it, my friend.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, thanks so much for this opportunity to rock out with you, James. And
thank you.
This is awesome.
Thanks so much for listening to the 20-Minute Call podcast. Please do follow us on your podcast app so you always have the latest episode downloaded. And leave a review if you really enjoyed the episode. If you want to contact the team, our email address is info@beyondmarketing.xyz. This episode was edited and engineered by Garnet Znydrick of the YouTube channel Blue Skies, Fun Days. Thanks for listening, and join us in 2 weeks for our next episode.